Recording.
So you see, if we turn that on, you can't see the thing.
Right. That's our only challenge here. And then I'll keep this open, and then as you need to move through the slides,
Just
I guess you can just hit the
Yeah.
arrows. I don't have a little clicker.
let's fast forward. I'm gonna pull this arrow.
Yep. Okay.
Is everybody in on Zoom that's gonna be on Zoom?
I got one more. I'll put them on. All right, so I think we have everybody,
Cool.
and if I spot anything, I might just pop in, but
Yeah,
I think we're
That's
good to
fine.
go.
that's fine. Okay. So. Adrian, Cameron,
Yeah, and we have Holland Renee from, oops, sorry, from Homer. Kelly Ramirez.
Cody Ramirez.
Kelly's brand new, Holland's been doing it for a little bit. Arian has she's been in real estate for a while, stepped away a little bit or got a little cold and is coming back, so.
Okay.
Got a variety of,
And Kelly said? Okay.
yes, Kelly Ramirez, and she is, contact with Helen.
Sure.
Verdier.
Okay, so on the slides, we were catching up a little bit about night. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about lead follow-up today, and I'll go by the guide just because it's a night course and I've been in KW long enough, damn near 20 years, to know that they like you to follow the guide as much as it is. But I'm going to offer some insights too. I went through and took a bunch of notes and add some stuff to this that I won't detract from it, but I'll add some stuff to this to kind of give us a Alaska tint to what we're doing. Because obviously this is made for a national program. It's made for a KW in general. Now the course writers and staff writers, I know a bunch of them at KW, and they're great people. And they write it intently, but the statistics, the data they use, everything you use is national for the most part. So we're going to be talking about how you keep every lead. It's section 10. You guys have been through a good portion of this training already with Ignite. I think it's hugely important to take a look at what we do here specifically. Homer's different. I know we got people all over the Southeast, but I think Alaska in general is a different way to do real estate than a lot of places. A little bit about me. My name is Ed Walden. I started in real estate in 2004. I bought the first book of business in.
Just wanted to say thanks again, guys.
Thank you,
Have a
Michael.
good day, okay? If you need anything, let me know.
I bought in 2000. I was still active duty in the military, and I bought a first book of business. Blake Butler, Carol Butler, and I. But Blake Butler and I did a purchase agreement on a business, and DAR started in 2000 with Blake and Carol, and I joined them after I retired at the end of 2003. And we were the number one in real estate for years then, but we're the number 2 team. Dan Wolf had started a team just prior to that. And then we stepped in, and so the 4 of us were the first team. We did, believe this or not, it's kind of embarrassing. In 2007, we did 56 million in sales, and we thought we were it. We were number 13 at Remax. It's crazy what the numbers were back then. But if you had a team doing any kind of volume, it was crazy. Since that point, between then in 2017, when we bought our Fairbanks business, Madden Real Estate, turned that into Walden Home Group, which it is now. Dar and I sold between just shy of 12,000 homes for close to $1.2 billion in sales. So when you look at the number of homes that you sell and the experience you get, now have I sold all those? No. Has Dar sold all those? No. But we've got great teams that sell all those homes, and then the amount of experience you get. And now at this point, we're basically team leaders. So what do I do mostly is I source business, I convert leads, I train and teach, and especially in the scripts and role playing, and keep the business going. So and that's what I do. I know you guys are on the screen. Please interject. I'm going to be kind of setting sideways for you guys and sliding back and forth a little bit, but please interject wherever you can and whenever you can, because I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. This, you guys will know, is really actively done, and participation is a key part of that. So this is where we're going to start with the Ignite, and let's get rolling, because how long do I have? Till 2? Okay. So this is the first day. We're real estate expert, lead generation, lead follow-up. We're essentially in lead follow-up today. And I think that's hugely important, because lead follow-up talks about what you do. It's how do you keep every lead, follow up with leads, strengthen relationships, qualify potential buyers and sellers. That's important. It's all important. And where do you know where to start? Where do you know where to put your energy? Where do you know where to concentrate on? What touches work? What systems work? More importantly, not just which ones work, but which ones work for you. Okay, my beautiful wife, Dar, love her to death, runs one of the most successful teams here in town, doesn't like to call people. Doesn't like to talk to people on the phone. She barely likes me. So when building a business around her lead generation tactics, when we were in, 2005, 6, 7, market was a little bit different then. 2008, 9, and 10, it crashed. When you don't really like to get on the phone and talk to people, I had a program called Tiger Leads, and Howard ran it, and it was a great program. I got 700 leads a day from Tiger Leads when we first signed up. So I was making 700 calls a day, because Dar didn't like to make calls. So I made 700 calls a day. We balanced each other out. Why? Now, because once we got those on the hook, Dar was amazing at building that relationship, talking to them, after they were settled in. But that's what it took for us to get started. So I don't mind talking to people on the phone. Some people don't like talking to them on the phone. Maybe some people want to use social media. Maybe some people, what are the touches that are effective for you, not just touches that are effective? Texting is good, but when you look at the priority of how solid a contact and relationships you can build, we'll talk about this. Is texting the most solid way to build that, or email, or is it in person or phone calls?
It's like most effective, basically.
Yeah, 1,000% more effective. Well, and we're talking generationally too, because generationally, it's a little bit different. So for today, really, lead follow-up is it. How to do lead follow-up. We'll talk about some recaps and ahas, of course we will. What is lead follow-up, post lead follow-up, and then the daily success system that you guys have been doing progressively throughout. By the end of this, what we'd like to see is you to be able to describe the benefits of establishing a system of lead follow-up. Apply the 19 to connect touch campaigns if you, we'll look at that as well and how deep we want to run into that and explain the importance of cementing a relationship with their leads. So let's chat about that real quick. When you, by the end of today, we want you to have a system for lead follow-up. You guys are pretty new in the business, right? I mean, we're all relatively new in the business, and I'm going to be talking to you guys mostly because on Zoom it's kind of hard, but we're mostly in the business of lead follow-up. You went through the lead generation phase, right? What did you guys think about lead generation?
I got some really good new ideas on how to do it that I wasn't doing before, and things I'm scared to do, like door knocking, but I need to do and try and see what works for me.
What about you, Toby?
I'm Luke.
Or Luke,
Toby's
sorry.
not in here, so-
Toby's not there? Okay, Luke, what about you?
Yeah, cold calling people is not my strong suit.
Okay.
Either is texting, but I am still active in the military.
Nice.
So when I'm done with my CSP here in June and go back to work, that's kind of gonna be my lead generation. Is like, I work with these guys every day. We're in the field constantly. And when we done with the field, do you want to go back to barracks room or do you want to go back to a house? Like, that's kind of gonna be my lead generation, is how can I help people with a set amount of EAH every month, get them into a home.
Good point. When I transferred from active duty, Dar was in the business and I retired the end of 2003. I purposefully made huge relationship strides with the civilians that I worked with because I knew the civilians would be there for years and years and years. At the active duty, folks that I knew I might be able to get one transaction out of, and they PCS, the next one that came in would be kind of rough and then it would go down. But I knew the civilians would be there for quite a while.
Yeah.
So I went to the base a lot, just reestablished, the connections and talked to people and took them to lunch and stuff because the civilians were out there forever. When we talk about lead follow-up and the strategies, that's something because your target audience, how long are they going to be your target audience? So that's a key part of it too. And that transition from the military, even though a lot of people think it's tough, and it is hard for a lot of folks to do, to go from mission oriented to where that's your focus is the mission to a profit oriented. You don't get paid unless you close the deal.
Yeah.
Was a big transition to that. That made it even more important. So let's start out with the first one. Guys, chime in on Zoom, please. If you're there, I'll ask some questions for you guys individually. So we know what a lead is. What do you guys believe a true lead is? Or seller? Yeah. What do you guys up there on Zoom? Kelly, what do you guys think a true lead is?
Either somebody who you can get to buy or sell or has connections to people to buy or sell, and then you can, accumulate more that way.
Yeah, that's a great answer too. Both are great answers. I agree with you. I think a lead is a person, it says here, that has shown interest in the service you provide. I think it's a little bit different because it depends on what you're at. And I'm going to deviate here a little bit and to say, to be successful in today's real estate market, you almost have to have a niche that you do a little bit different than anybody else. So a lead may be different for a military person that's getting out of the military versus somebody that's got a moving van or wants to do party surprise type stuff or do event type based things, or a lead that you get on the internet. There are a lot of people that hope to use Google as their primary source of lead generation. Why? Because there's not a whole lot of interaction. You could do it, simply by them connecting and on your website and you pick up the phone and talk to them. So a lead could be different to a lot of different people, but I think that's it. Let's talk a little bit about database. And it's hard for me to read this. So when you've identified a lead and you were jumping a little bit ahead when you've connected with that lead, who goes into your database? You guys up there on Zoom, who goes into your database? Anybody? Somebody answer the question. Who do you
Well,
put?
I'll answer it.
into
I am going to put practically everybody.
Is this Ariane?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're thinking about putting everybody into your database, what do you have to do to your database to make it usable or functionable?
Those notes and flags, the absent votes.
Well, probably categorize it
100%.
and also maintain it and not just let it go wild, because I know that can happen too, like real fast.
Yeah. So, and I'll give you a perfect example of it. I'm in Fairbanks. Population is about 60,000. It's close to 100,000 if you count Healy and all the other places around Fairbanks. I've got 42,000 people in my database. Starting last year, Gary, my director of sales, and I are like, this is ridiculous because we belong to place, and Ben Kinney, who I love Ben to death, is like, Ed, you got to do something with that database. How are you calling through, especially Bob Stewart, who runs Brivity and runs a lot of the tech stuff that we use. How are you calling through your database 4 times a year? Because when you look at your leads and contacting the leads, one of the key elements is call them and talk to them 4 times a year. So how many people do you think I need on my team to call 42,000 people 4 times a year?
Everybody on deck.
It's ridiculous. When I threw that up on the board, they all laughed at me. It's like, there is no way that I'm calling, 118 people every single day, each person on my team. And there's 20 of us. So it's like, that's crazy. There's no way you're going to do that. So you have to use tags. You have to use different categories. You have to use different. Is it smart to put everybody in your database? Let me ask that question. Oh, how do I? Hold on a sec. Oh, I don't, there's the mouse.
Yeah. To the blue button.
Admit?
Yep.
Yeah,
There we go.
thank you. Perfect.
That's Ryan?
Brian.
Brian. Hey, Brian. So is it smart? Let's go back to that question. Is it smart to put everybody in your database? Hi, bud. So we're talking about lead follow-up today. And right now our question, Brian, is it smart to put everybody you meet or know into your database?
I would say no.
No.
Is that a question then?
Yeah, the question is it smart to put everybody that you meet or know into your database?
I think last week we were talking about putting them in your database if they were in your sphere.
Sphere of influence. So your SOI, absolutely put everybody in your SOI in your database. If they've contacted you and had a real estate related question, put them in your database. How about if they're just acquaintances, like your dentist, your doctor, your mechanic, those kind of, do you put those folks in your database?
I have been, because I've actually got more leads off of acquaintances like that, just talking than anything. So I check in with them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, and this is my own perspective, as you can tell, because I have 42,000 leads in my database. And I've got 38,000 leads, and I've got 42,000 people in our database. I put everybody in. I just do. Why? Why not? I let them deselect. I give them the opportunity to deselect. And how does that script look when you're talking to them on the phone? Because, well, before I had a medical issue, but before that, Fritzy would send me down about 100 people a day, or JT would, she's our lead manager, would send me down about 100 people a day. I was calling them, the last ones I called were from October 2022. And those are people that had signed up on our websites or somehow got into our lead database. That script was pretty high. Ed Walden, Walden Home Group, Fairbanks, Alaska. Saw that you were on our website, Fairbanks Homes for Sale, and just inquiring if you're still interested in buying or selling a home in Fairbanks or the area up here, because I've got you in my database for some reason. And if you are, I want to help you. If you're not, I don't want to be sending you stuff that you probably don't need. Then shut up and let them talk. I was converting 1 in 10. 1 in 10. Which is not bad because only 5 of them answered the phone. So 1 out of every 10 calls, I would get a couple. If I got them on the phone, 1 out of every 5 of them I converted by asking a simple question. So they could deselect themselves. What happens when they deselect themselves? Do I get rid of them completely? Yeah, there's all kinds of different, whatever CRM you use, whether you use Command or Brivity or Boomtown or whatever you want to use, you could put a tag on them that says they still get 12 touches a year from us, Walden Home Group, because they may not be planning on moving from Alabama back to Alaska, but they may know somebody that is. And if our, we'll talk about top of mind awareness, but if our Walden Home Group, they know Ed Walden, then they may call Walden up there. Not just because we have 25% of the market share or 27% of the market share, it's just because we do a great job and we take care of them. We stayed in touch. So let's go to the next slide. Life of a lead. This is a 7 to 10 year average of when they move. Okay. Is everybody here lifelong Alaskans, have been in Alaska all their life, or they come from somewhere else? Somewhere else? Toby? Somewhere else? Holland, somewhere else?
No, I'm born and raised here, but I moved to the States for a few
Woohoo!
years and now I'm back.
Back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kelly, somewhere else?
Yeah, we're from Ohio and my husband's military, so we've been here. It's our second time here. We've been to North Carolina, we've been to Louisiana. So
Yeah, us military folks are an anomaly because we PCS all the time and we're just coming and going. The average person stays in their home 7 to 10 years. Where I'm from, I went to high school and college in Boise. I'm from Northern California, place around Chico area. In Chico, that whole Northern Valley, when you buy a house, like my parents did, my grandparents did, all my aunts and uncles, everybody that I know, you stay in that house for like 40 or 50 years. You just don't move. I don't know how a real estate agent makes it there. But look at where we're at right now. Whether you're in Homer or whether you're here or in the valley, how often do you move here in Alaska? 4 years, 5 years? It's 3 to 5 years in Fairbanks. We know it's 3 to 5 years in Fairbanks. Fairbanks is a little bit different. Do they move subdivision to subdivision in Fairbanks? No, they move in and out of state. Roughly 85% of my business is done in and out of state. And so we'll close 41 transactions this month up there. And of those 41 transactions, 35 are either coming into state or leaving or moving out of state. It's just crazy the number of people with the what's that phrase they're using now because of the interest rates where they just stay and because they love the interest rate they have, they're not moving. Well, they're not moving across town, but in a typical environment here, let's say Anchorage, most people should know Anchorage. So you're 22 years old and you buy a little 700 square foot condo in Independence Park, which is south by Abbott and Diamond, that little area, Independence Park over there. Then you may move into a zero lot line place that's a little bit nicer. Then you may move into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath starter home. Then you may move up a little bit into a better than a starter home. Then you may end up somewhere Kipton Hills or Huffman Hills or something like that, which is a very nice, $600,000-700,000 area where you 4 bedrooms to a little bit older home. And if you're really moving on track, you're up in Golden View or you're out in Prominence or you're at Campbell Lake, whatever. A typical client that stays here in town could move in Anchorage 4, 5, 6 times in a 20, 25, 30-year period. Now, some of us in Fairbanks, I know, and it could be the same out in the valley, they find a place out in the valley and they stay. What do they do there instead of moving? They may add a family room. They may add a shop. They may, because they're already on an acre, they may do something different. But if you look at this loop, you're hitting the top of the thing as they're moving. When do you want to talk to that lead? The bottom? Luke says the bottom. What do you guys think?
I think any time, hopefully before they're moving, but I think any time would be okay.
Yeah. If you have a really consistent lead follow-up plan, it doesn't matter where you connect. You know how we get a bunch of our business, Dar and I have for years and years and years, is by being the best dang co-op agent you could find. So that means a buyer brought a house to one of Dar's listings or one of my buyers, whatever, because I worked buyer side, Dar worked the listing side. A buyer brought the house to one of Dar's listings, and Katie and our team did such a fantastic job of that transaction that they ended up working with us next time. Does that happen automatically? No, because if it's 5 years, say hypothetically 5 years, if you don't contact them, how often? If you don't contact them, we'll talk about that in a minute. If you don't contact them on a regular basis, they forget who their own real estate agent is, let alone the co-op agent that sold them the house. So you have to have a really good program in place to be able to connect with these at any point in these curves. If you don't have a very good connection, where do you want to grab them? When they're moving up in that cycle, say the 3.5, 4-year mark, that's where you want to grab them because that's where you're going to have to connect. Otherwise, you don't have a plan that's good enough to stay with them. What do you guys think about that? What's your thoughts?
I think military buyers would be kind of easier to judge when they might be leaving. Because like when you talking to them.
You're overseas, yeah.
Well, you're
absolutely.
talking to them like up here, like, oh, I got 4-year orders, whatever. It's like, okay, well, in 3 years, I'm gonna make sure I give you a call. Like, hey, where are you going? You want to move your house? Blah, blah, blah.
So let's look at the big picture here. And I'm going to spend a few more minutes than the time that they give me on this slide here. So how many realtors does a general person know? Honestly, how many realtors does a person? So if they're military folks PCSing up here, who do they typically use as a realtor?
Whoever they connect with first, or whoever reaches out to them first.
What is the stats are in here and we'll talk about it. 72% work with the first person, 83% write an offer with the first person, some ridiculous amount like that they talk to. Why? Because most of us are high I's or DI's if you're in real estate sales, and we know how to talk to people. So we're going to build that relationship and we're going to solidify it. Why? Well, one, because our livelihood depends upon it, but two, because that's what we do for a living. And we're going to convert those guys typically. So we'll use them. The key is, do you get to use them the second time when they leave? I mean, honestly, do you come back? How many people use the same realtor for the second transaction than they did the first? What is that horrible percentage? Now I think it's 12%. So look at it. Lead follow-up accounts for approximately 88% of the business that's out there. So do you want to get your own business every time, or do you want the business to come back to you? So, yeah, that's a big part of it.
And I know a big part of the leads on our team come from past clients.
A majority of the leads on especially the increase team come past. Ours is almost all. So look at this problem: possible business, probable business, profitable business. We're on that slide. Lead follow-up, a framework. It says it right here. 73% of buyers only talk to one agent. 82% of sellers only contacted one agent. So 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5. It's not bad odds. So if you get them on the phone, what happens? Bless you. So when you look at this big sphere of people out there, possible business, probable business, profitable business, what are you actually looking at? What's possible business?
Anybody, honestly.
Anybody that has the ability to buy a home or sell a home. That's possible business. Now, I'm going to expand that a little bit and to say a possible business could be a 20-year-old that you meet on the street today that's probably not going to buy their house for 5, 7, 10 years. Do you know that they're going to buy a house? No. Are you thinking of how do I stay in touch with them? Probably not. But just know that they're probably in today's world going to meet, maybe get married, maybe have a partner, maybe combine incomes, maybe start off in a starter home and then work their way up. That could be 5 or 6 sales. Now, if you treat that client right and you take care of them, and then you're real estate partner for life. So I'll give you an example. I've worked mostly investment clients. And I've got several of them, probably 10, that won't make a real estate decision or won't even talk real estate unless they talk to me first. And I'll pick one out that you probably know. His name is Wally Hickle, Wally the Third. His company owns the Captain Cook downtown at half of Anchorage, actually. Wally's a good buddy of mine, probably one of my best buddies. Beautiful wife, Candace, two little boys. I've sold them a place on Big Lake. I've sold them a place down in Old Turnagain. We've worked with them. I sold them a 24-plex out in Valdez for $685,000. That's now worth $2-point-something million. He's had it for 20 years, makes $200,000 a year off of it, 18 years or so, give or take. Because of that relationship, I talk to him probably 3 times a week. I'm not kidding you, 45 minutes, probably 3 times a week. Love him to death. Great guy. Also sold 99 lots down in Resolution Point that was his, developed that whole property, and then developed the second one, of which 11 of them were bluff homes, oceanfront homes. Sold another 14 lots down there because of him. I can't tell you how many of his family members and friends we sold. just because of one transaction we did with him 17, 18 years ago. But he would not make a real estate decision, nothing. And what does he do for Hickle Investment Company? Essentially runs the real estate department. And I'm on speed dial. It's building that relationship. That possible business, probable business, or profitable business? It's profitable all day long. I'll give you another quick scenario. Trevithick's, Alicia Trevithick. Dar and I were building a house out in Golden View, and we saw that the house across the street, catty corner from us, was for sale, but then all of a sudden it wasn't for sale. There was an open house. We walk into that open house. Our house wasn't even finished being built yet. Walked into that open house. I had my real estate license for a week. Essentially a week. Alicia Trevithick at that point was 27 years old. She was the builder of that house. Beautiful home, listed for 535 or whatever. The buyer walked away. I said, "Oh my gosh, you really need to talk to Dar and Carol about selling this home," because she was panicked. Because she didn't have a buyer on the other end. The buyer walked away. She talked to Dar. Dar got her and Carol out there. They had $30,000 extras in landscaping, blah, blah, blah. Dar ended up selling the house for $560,000. I bet you we've sold over 100 Trevithick homes with Trevi builders, with their families, with everything, from one chance encounter at an open house talking to the builder. So any possible business can turn into probable business. And that probable business is when you've made contact with them. Possible business is you guys sitting out here in line at Fred Meyer's, at the self-checkout, and there's 40 of you and you're wearing gear, because you all should be wearing gear. And they say, "Oh, you sell homes." Yeah, that's probable business. But the minute that you actually have a conversation, or possible, the minute you have a conversation with, it turns probable. When does it turn into profitable business?
You're building that relationship and getting referrals and having repeat visits from your clients.
Referrals or closings?
Mhm.
That's to me, that's what it is. Referrals, closings. So here's a big question. We're going on to the next slide. If you aren't first or second in their mind, you probably won't get their business. Again, we're going to ask that same question. How many realtors do you know? How many realtors does the general public know? I mean, how many realtors you go down the street? Oh my God, my son's mom is a realtor. Or my nephew just married a girl that's just getting into real estate. I've lost clients to my nephew's wife or whatever, a client like that. If you aren't first or second in their mind, you probably won't get the business. So let's talk top of mind awareness. Let's talk. What do you think top of mind awareness is? Let's go up to Zoom. One of you guys on Zoom, Brian or Ariane or somebody, what is top of mind awareness to you?
It's when they think of you when they need something. Somebody brings up, "Oh, I need to sell my house." They're going to say, "Oh, so-and-so is who you need to use."
What kind of touches? I'm going to ask a follow-up question. What kind of touches do you have to have in your arsenal to be sending to people on a regular basis to keep that top of mind awareness, to keep you number one in their thoughts and in their minds? Are texts going to do it? Are emails going to do it? Is a newsletter going to do it?
I think it's phone calls and in person.
Yeah. Maybe phone calls in verse, but what are you adding? What kind of value are you adding to their life? And this is where we're going to get kind of into the sticky part of it. What kind of value are you adding to their world where they're going to think that you're the expert, you're the person that I need to talk to on a regular basis? Contacting them and talking to them is huge. And we'll get into that a little bit here. But think about the touches you're going to have to provide. Think about the content you're going to have to provide. Think about the value you're going to have to provide to stay in the number one, number two. Now, how many, even a successful agent, how many people in their database do you think they may have, even as a very successful agent, say working in the Valley, like Sharon? How many people in the database you think you need to have to lead a really successful business? No, yeah, that's way too many.
I think, 400.
400?
I think to have it moving and healthy and 400.
If you're a single agent, can you call 400 people once a quarter?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it as useful? Is it trustful? Now, let's take this a step further. You have 400 people in your database. What can you do with 400 people in your database that you can't do with 40,000 people in your database? Amen. Amen. Actually know them is a big thing, but what else can you do?
Client events.
Client events. Oh my gosh. We'll talk a little bit about client events. We do 3 or 4 a year. Major client events. We just did the home show up in Fairbanks in March, and I drug Dar does it down here. I drug a Volkswagen van, old 71 Volkswagen van, threw it on a trailer, drug it all the way up there for 4 days. Did the home show, had people take pictures and do all that kind of stuff, and modeled it up. Had a blast doing it. Perfect example. So we had this program with an iPad. You could take a picture of it. It puts a frame around it. We have Walden Home Group things on the van. We put it back. We tell them, here, put your name and everything down here. Sign up. We're going to send you these pictures. So name, phone number, email address. We're going to send you these pictures. So we send them those pictures. We text it right away, and then the following week we email that in a different frame of the picture, and we send that to them. And that's on an email where they open it up and the picture comes automatically up. But what does it have all the way around it? Walden Home Group, everything, phone number, contact, and on the back of each one of those little notes, the agent that worked with that person taking their picture, name went on the bottom. So that agent, say it was Sharon, said, "Hey, it's Sharon. I saw you the other day at the home show. I took your picture. Here's a copy of it. We have this for you digitally. Let me know if you want me to send it to you, because you can put a Christmas frame around it. You can do whatever you want around it. Love to be able to help you if you have any real estate needs this year." Soft touch, right? Soft touch. How many pictures do you think we took of people in that 4-day period? Over 1,000.
Wow.
Over 1,000 pictures. So that was 1,000 leads in 4 days. Yeah. And not only that, we had the biggest booth in the center of the Coliseum. We're giving away all kinds of stuff, $1,000 in fuel, and we had 6 agents, 5 to 6 agents on duty the entire time. That's touch. Second touch, we give away about 400 or 500 pumpkin pies every year. And what we do is we bring them. We've got an office not quite as big as this. It's about 5,000 feet. We bring them in. They have to walk clear through our office into the conference room where we give away the pies. Why? Because we want them to be in the building. The whole team's there. When Lee comes, "Oh, what's your name?" "Oh, yeah. Hey, Sam, your client's here." Sam reaches out, talks to the client, whether they're lead or not, blah, blah, blah. It all works out.
We do that in this room this year.
We do that here. Yeah, Dart does that here. So you have to have some client events. If you have 400 people, that's a really manageable, easy thing to do, because you could call all 400 of those people and say, got pumpkin pies. And what do? Is you split the cost of those pumpkin pies with 2 or 3 of affiliates. You know, First Rate pays for half of it. You can get stickers done. You could get cans of whipped cream done. You could set up a venue, blah, blah, blah. Share the cost. And then you get one-on-one time with hundreds of people that are coming in the day before Thanksgiving and the 2 days before Thanksgiving. They're in a good mood. They're getting something for free. And all they got to do is pop by, and you get them the Costco ones, the good ones. Everyone loves Costco ones, and you do it right. So what is one-on-one time with the client? How valuable is that? Can you do that with 40,000 people? We can't call them all. We can't contact. Can you do them with 400, 500, 600, maybe even 1,000? Probably so. So you don't have to have this huge database to be successful. You have to be able to top of mind awareness. You have to make sure that you're on their mind all the time. You have to have your core 5 or 6, maybe 10 people that wouldn't do a real estate transaction without talking to you, that refers you business on a regular basis.
We call those our VIPs.
Yeah,
And those are
VIPs.
the people that, like, they're your cheerleaders, and those are the people that you go the extra mile for.
So what do you do differently for your VIP clients?
Tag them VIP. That's all I do. For us, we just call them VIPs because we've done business. If you've done business with us in the last 5 years, you're a VIP.
Yeah.
If on the buyer side, if you sold and moved out of state, then you're not.
Sometimes we'll do a little extra for it, the ones who are our biggest applicants. And yeah, like, obviously they come to all our client events, but maybe we'll, last year we did like, my husband likes to cook, so we did like, we did a rib roast, a sous vide, like prime rib, and we gave prime ribs out to our big advocates, so, or like a turkey roll for like Thanksgiving. So whatever's your superpower, remember? What you like, and do that.
Any ahas? What have you guys taken away from this first? Please, those guys up on Zoom, talk to us as well. What do you guys take away? This broker stuff. I'm dismissing that. What are you guys taking away from this part so far about lead follow-up, and what's important to you in lead follow-up?
I love things that about let people deselect themselves.
Throw everybody in the pot. Yeah, and they'll tell you whether they're going to move or not. Because, and I say this a lot, we have a lot of lots that we sell up there, vacant lots. Some run 5,000, some run 50,000, some run hundreds of thousands. But if you have that dry cabin, back off Chena Hot Springs, mile 28, somewhere that's worth about $30,000 or $40,000, you don't know if that person that has that cabin owns all the subways in town. You know, you don't know if that person in town owns some major Peterson's auto dealers or auto repairs in town. You see, the thing is, you don't know who they are until you contact them. Because somebody calls you about a $5,000 lot. I had some new agents that were like, "Oh my God, I don't want to do this." Why? Because the commission's $1.75, you know, and I don't want to do this. However, the relationship is you're not going for that lot. You're not selling that lot. You're selling yourself as a service to that person who has other real estate. Because if they own that $5,000 lot, they're not living on it in a tent. They're living somewhere else. And they have a home, and they have family, and they have friends, and that's where you got to sell yourself. So let them deselect themselves if that person's selling that lot because they live in Arkansas and they bought it 40 years ago and they've never been here. That's one thing. Great. Love that. If you know anybody else in Arkansas that wants anything in Alaska, let us know. 12 drip, 12 touch, you're out. You know, but that's a perfect deselect. Anything else? Any other takeaways? All right, let's move on. How to lead follow-up. So we're going to get back into something we talked about a little bit ago. How to follow up on leads. The number one thing I think is the number one important. It doesn't say this in here, but I think it's hugely important. Because in here they're asking, the 19 to connect, 36 to convert, all the basics. Yeah, I understand all that. What's the most important thing about how you follow up with your leads? What's the most important thing? You're thinking about, oh my God, I got to come up with a lead follow-up plan today that I'm going to follow up with 400 of these leads. What's the biggest priority you're going to look at? Connecting is good. Somebody on Zoom, throw something out there. How are you going to do this? I've got one specific answer. Go ahead.
I'm always trying to just find something to talk to them about other than real estate instead of just hitting them with a sales pitch all the time. So like half the guys I'll write down like their kids or like they're moving here soon or whatever, just something. They'll be like, hey, just follow up. I'm like, hey, have you moved yet or something, you know?
That's good, Brian. That's good. It's the Ford principle. Even LP Mama falls into that category. What I'm looking for here is how to lead follow up. Find something that you like to do. Because if you don't like to do it, or you find bearable, you may not like to do any of it, but you find it at least bearable. Because if you don't find it bearable, what's going to happen? You're going to do it once or twice. It's like a newsletter. I know you guys, this is crazy, but people do newsletters in real estate all the time. There's different forms you can get, like Constant Contact or different, things you can subscribe to that gives you the newsletter essentially. And all you have to, especially with AI, there is no excuses. There is absolutely no excuse to not be able to write a newsletter, especially with AI. And then you just have to brand it. Okay. And even that, they'll do it, say it's a monthly newsletter, and they'll do it for 3 or 4 months and then it dies off. And does it work? If you only do it for 3 or 4 months, it's not going to work. Because what are you looking at? You're looking at, for newsletters, 12 times a year, or at least 4 times a year, depending on how you got to do your, 36 touch or whatever you're going to do. If you don't like doing newsletters, you don't like formulating them, you don't like getting that and sending it all out electronically, then don't do it. You got to find something that you like to do, or a program of things that can do the work by themselves. What do I mean by the work by themselves? What's the one tool that you can use that'll help you do the lead follow-up stuff for you so you don't have to do it yourself? Or at least tell you when it's due so you can do it yourself. Command, all these things. Why? You can go into Command and get a 36 touch program. Now, please tell me this. Please tell me that none of you are thinking about sending out recipes. Sharon, I hope you don't send out recipes. Please tell me that
Silence.
yeah,
Yeah, my husband does.
yeah, but you got to come with something valuable. What's a valuable touch for people that say you're at that peak, you just bought a home, you just moved? What am I going to send you every month or so for the next 3 to 5 to 6 years? Market stats are huge. Listing data, listing reports. If you're a buyer that just bought a home, there's a good chance I'm going to send you a listing report every month that tells you, what's that one Dar sends out? I get it every month. And it comes out, I don't know, it's something knob or something. No, but it's the one she does through I don't think it's MLS, but she sends it out and I get one on my house. No, I get one at my house and it comes in, it says, this is the current value of your house. If you sold it today, this is how much equity you have in it based on what you paid. Yeah, what's your home worth? And down here it says if you were to rent it, this is how much you get for rent. If you're to Airbnb it, this is how much you get. I get it, I think once a month. I open that thing up every time, every single time. So a listing report of what your home's worth, what it has Dar's face right on the top of it and her contact information. And I read it every single time. And I've been in the business for 20 years. I know real estate. I know, but I'm still curious about what my house is listed for. Yeah, we get tons of leads from it every month. Is it automated? When you push that button, say Toby bought a house, and Toby, you bought a house and you bought it for $485,000 down in South Anchorage somewhere, and you just moved in. You start getting this listing report and you track it, and all of a sudden your $485,000 house is now worth $635,000 house 2 years later. You would be amazed how many people guess at what their house may be worth, have no clue what their house may be. Are you providing valuable information?
Yes.
When you moved into that house and I got your recording information and we did that out for you, and you said I put this much down on it, blah, 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 blah. Push the button, let it go. Guess what? You're getting 12 touches a year and never have to worry about it. And they're valuable touches. So that's what I'm saying is build a system that you could put on repeat. Now, what's the one thing you can't put on repeat that's done automatically or that's not done automatically? That you have to do every quarter.
Oh, call.
Yeah, you should talk to your clients. You should talk to your. Now, there's a difference. Don't get me wrong. Lead follow-up and database follow-up are two different things. And we're kind of merging them here because lead follow-up is the 19 to connect, 36 to convert, and the lead, that whole lead basket that you're getting here. But don't forget that all these people in your database are leads as well. So that's hugely important. Let's talk about the leads on this side, the ones that are Google leads, the ones that call in off of a program that you have, or saw your website, or saw your, you did the lead generation. What are some types of lead generation you guys decided to have?
That we're excited to have.
Yeah, well, they're excited. You're excited about lead gen. You've got a tool, you've got a thought, you got a niche that you want to do. Maybe you're going to buy a van to help people move, or maybe you're going to do events, or maybe you're going to be the maybe your son is fantastic at football, basketball, baseball, and wrestling, and you decided to be the super parent that's going to go to every single one of those games or events or whatever, and talk to every other single parent there and wear your gear, and you're going to be the super mom or super dad that's going to convert all their business.
That's a plan of mine, because I'm at
Yeah.
sports events at least 3 times a week.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Or you're going to join social BNI clubs, or you're going to be, a social person, go join all these clubs or charity type stuff. What are you going to do? What's the next step for you? How are you going to make those conversions? What kind of scripts are you going to use? Those are all these leads to connect. Ben Kinney's 10 Days of Pain. How many calls are on Ben Kinney's 10 Days of Pain?
So, 1,000.
No, it's 19.
Oh.
19 calls in his 10 Days of Pain. Try to get in contact. And we'll say you got in contact with them. And it says here, 1, 2 cement. What's that conversation going to be like? What's that one? You get one opportunity, right? First impressions mean a lot. You finally get a hold of that lead that you've been calling for 8.5 days, and they finally answer the phone. What are you going to say? What's coming out of your mouth? Somebody on Zoom. Throw in there, what's that 1-2 cement thing, the high value touch that solidifies the relationship. It's got to be a conversation. And in that conversation, what are you going to say? We already talked about it. Brian talked about it. I think Brian did, or Kelly did. Brian talked about it, but
Anything but real estate.
Ford,
Yeah.
right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So if you've got a buyer that's moving to Alaska, what, besides working in the oil industry or a job or a military, why else do you think they're coming to Alaska? Is it an easy conversation to start?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, Sharon, what brings you to Alaska? What made you think you wanted to move up here?
Military.
Military, PCS, and great. Where are you moving from?
From DC.
Got your orders already?
Yes.
Fantastic. Coming from DC. This is going to be a huge change. You going to Eielson or you going to Elmendorf? Eielson, fantastic. Love it up here. Small community. See how easy that is? Are we making a connection already? We're one sentence into it. We're one sentence in. What are you looking for in a home?
Think there's lots of land. I don't know. I guess
We
I
definitely
probably-
have a lot of that. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of that.
Here, I don't know what to look for, a good neighborhood.
It's crazy because in Fairbanks, there's not really a lot of neighborhoods. We have the North Pole, which is about 10, 11 miles out, and it's closer to Eielson, which is really convenient. It's easy to anticipate at least an acre, sometimes 5 acres, depending on where you want to be. Some of the concerns we have is the drive in the wintertime and getting back and forth. What would your family like to see up here?
Recreation.
Recreation.
We like to be outside.
You have kids in school?
Well.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have kids in school, one of the considerations we have to make is where the buses go, or if you're driving them back and forth. You see how have you asked for the sale yet? They asked them, do you know anybody that, this is what gets me. You don't end a conversation like this where you're building rapport with a, do you know anybody that needs to buy or sell real estate? That conversation comes 5 or 10 conversations down the road. Honestly, it does. And if you use my buddy Mike Hicks' promise script on that, you can build that into that conversation. But if you just want to have a great conversation and build rapport, the cement that relationship and to really make it personal, you have to tie in and connect personally. And the best way to do that is for number one, y'all live in Alaska. So that's the one thing you have in common with somebody moving here is you live in Alaska. Now, what if they're selling and they're going out and it's a listing appointment? Oh my God, I've seen you. You guys have been on DARS on the radio, blah, blah, blah. I'm on the radio up there. I run 600 spots on the radio up in Fairbanks. So they know me all over the place. I have no idea who they are, but they see me because we do radio shows, we do TV spots, we do everything up there. And they stop me in Fred Meyer. And I get 5 to 7 referral calls a week for my business personally. 5 to 7 referral calls a week that I pass off to my teammates up there just because of visibility, just because they see us and they know. But if they see me and Fred Meyer, I pretend like I know them all my life. And I have no earthly clue who they are half the time. But I pretend like I know them. Why? Because we have the connection. We have the Fairbanks connection. They've been in town. They've heard us on the radio. There's so many ways to cement that and connect with it. Man, I'd love to see your home. And, because I know I was the one that sold it to him because I don't sell homes anymore. So I'd love to see your home, and what you've done to it. And you make that connection. But on this, it says the contact 36 to convert, 36 touches. Those are typically for buyers. What's the difference between a buyer lead follow-up and a seller lead follow-up? Any ideas? What's the difference? Let's see, I'll give you a tip. I'll give you a little hint. Timing. What's the timing difference between a buyer lead follow-up to convert and a seller lead follow-up to convert? Buyer could take a year. A seller could take a minute. If a seller reaches out to you to list their house, they're done. That's the final stage. Sharon, tell me if I'm wrong here. That's typically the final stage in their preparation and their thought pattern is to contact a real estate agent to sell their house. What's the very first stage if the buyer is, or second stage? The first stage is to go onto Zillow or MLS or something and look at the location you're going to. That's the very first thing they do. Second thing they do is they reach out to look at a specific home. And if you happen to be the realtor for that specific home, that's why Brian said this morning in class or in a meeting, get your listings, get the listings, get the listings. Why? Because listings bring buyers. And it used to be a listing should bring 2 buyers to the table for you. I think a listing right now, especially in my market, will bring 4 or 5 buyers to the table for you. So it's game on with the listings. So sometimes with buyers, you need 36 touches to connect. And there should be telephone touches, bi-weekly touches, all that kind of stuff, the event touches, but there's no touch that's more important than the touch it takes to cement the relationship you have with your buyer or seller. And that means getting rid of all the distractions, means getting rid of everything outside and zoning in on that one conversation you're having in person or on the phone with that client at that time. Now, if it's a seller that's coming in, very first thing I do is set up an appointment to go see their house. Now, what you guys were talking about here with MLS this morning, fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately for me, is total opposite than what we do in Fairbanks. So we can have a house coming soon I've got houses that have been on my coming soon list for 3 years. I haven't had to put on MLS yet. So I'm going to say this is horrible. 35 to 40% of my business is done off the coming soon list. In-house, double-sided. And the reason why is because if Toby has a house for sale and he comes to me and it's a pretty simple script, my thing is to connect with Toby to get that solidified as fast as possible. And it could be, oh my gosh, we're PCSing next. What is it now? May. We're PCSing at Christmas. Fantastic. Toby, I'll tell you what, let me pop out there, take a look and see what projects you may need to do, things that we need to do. We could put it on the coming soon list that we have available for all the folks that we work with that have signed buyers reps agreements. And this is one of the questions. We'll go through the whole spiel. I'll walk through the house, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, by the way, Toby, our coming soon list, this is how it works. We put your home on coming soon. I take a few pictures of the exterior. Give me your sale price, your buy it now price, what price you would love to walk out that door with. Just heaven sent price, terms, conditions, closing date, that kind of stuff. If I could sell it off that coming soon list and we don't have to do showings, do all that kind of stuff, would you be interested in doing that? Yeah. If I could get $450 for this house and they can close on 1 December, I'd be all for it. So we put that on a coming soon list. Bang. What if I've added you to the coming soon list. I've signed a listing agreement that doesn't have a date in it yet. And that's in Fairbanks, we could do this still. I've solidified that relationship with Toby that I'm going to sell that house. It's that simple. Here it's a little bit different. You got a lot more rules down here in MLS, aka MLS, that you have to abide by. But the key part is it's still cementing it. It's that one conversation you need to have. So 19 leads to connect. Automate these leads. So what is the first thing you're going to do with KW and KW command that goes through and says, wow, okay, I want to automate all my touches. What do I need to do? Yeah, most of these are drips, 12 touch monthly email newsletters, market reports, video. So I'm going to tell you the one thing that works best for my team is video. So Brian gets on the phone with me, and Brian he's a lead. He gets on the internet and he's looking for on my website, fairbanksHomesForSale.com, and he gets on there and looks at 8 houses, and I get that lead. So I've got his phone number. So what do you immediately do? I call, I text, right? And I don't text. I send a video. And I'll say, hey, Brian, it's Ed over here, Walden Home Group. I'm just getting out of my car, walking to my office. I saw you were on our website, picked out 8 houses to look at. Is any of them really specific that you want to look at, or you have any information you want? I'd love to be able to help you. Give me a call, 240-0081. Bam. If I could do that within 9 seconds, I don't get the wheel of death in Fairbanks. I don't get that spiraling wheel of death. But when he looks that up, and I'm an ugly dude, but if he looks that up and sees me in a video on his text, what's he going to do?
That makes a bigger impression. I'll call that.
So I've taken the 19 opportunities to connect and turned them into 2 or 3. Because there's a good chance he's going to respond back to me. Oh, I was just browsing, looking. So if I was just browsing, looking, man, I'd love to be able to help you in your search. We get a lot of people that are from lower 48 that never come. So that's just a elimination process. But that video text, if I could tell you guys one thing to do today to get rid of all of this stuff is and please do not set up a green room with a green screen and with all these cameras and all this kind of stuff of you sitting behind a desk. Because my best conversion comes from me sitting in a car. Hey, I just pulled over because I saw you were on our website. Or I'm just getting out of the office. This is one I use all the time. Hey, just got out of my car, walking to my office. Blah, 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 blah. I'll give you a call in about 20 minutes if you're free. Oh my, no, I'm at work. Can you call me after work? I get all that stuff. Use the video. It's so much more important. Yeah.
You made a point then.
Put a face to the name too.
Here it goes. On when you look at considerations and leads to follow, some of my strengths working with people, how can I adapt, touch, connect to represent me? Again, it's do what you like to do, because if you don't like to do it, you won't do it consistently. That's all I can say. If you don't like talking on the phone, like Luke said, I'm not really. No, don't talk on the phone. Talk person to person, or get out there and meet them. You know, there's all kinds of different ways to connect. 19 touches. Email, newsletter, market report, video. I'm going to tell you about this. I'm going to use my own personal experience. For God's sakes, don't send a birthday card. No recipes. I hope I don't offend anybody by doing this. Market reports, listing reports, information, informative videos, emails, neighborhood newsletter. Yes, all day long. Promotional direct mail, wouldn't touch it with the 10-foot pole. Just because you like the Seattle Seahawks means I love the 49ers. And if you send me a Seattle Seahawks, I am not doing business with you. Just because of principle. You know, it just not gonna, people think like that. They just do. This is hugely important. I know we're getting kind of short on time, so I want to run on this. What's your value proposition? What niche do you bring to the table? What are you bringing to the table that the other 1,400 or 1,500 agents in Anchorage in the Valley are not bringing to the table? What makes you stand out?
At least for me, I like a leg that I want to stand on is like I'm still active duty.
Mhm.
Like when I'm done here, I'm still gonna be active duty.
I retired 22 years ago. I still talk like I'm active duty.
But there's not a whole lot of like people who wake up, put the uniform on that. have a
Amen.
real estate license.
Amen. That's a great niche. And if you're smart enough, you're gonna do this well enough in advance to be able to build your little network within the military and the civilian side, especially
That's
to
what-
have recurring leads. Yeah, yeah. Your value proposition is huge. Anybody else got a value proposition they want to throw out there that's really important that they think they can contribute more than John Doe down the street? Mm-hmm. Yeah, prompt communication.
I get feedback from agents on the other side, like you're easy to work with because you pick up, you answer when I call.
I'm gonna give you a little tip
Mhm.
based on that. My value proposition I carried around with me for 15 years. Everywhere I went, I carried it with me. And it didn't matter what it was, because I changed it out every month or so, but it was a little, the ones you could buy for $1.89, the little notebooks, and they come in black and then now purple and blue and all that kind of stuff. And I wrote on the top of it, Ed's Promise Book. Every showing that I went to, I went down showing with Sharon, and Sharon says, you know where those property corners are? I'd whip out my book and I'd write, Sharon wants to know what properties are on 1211 Kingsway. And I put an open checkbox in it. And my life's objective was to get that information to Sharon right away. So people would ask me, what's your promise book for? And I said, well, if you ask me a question, I make a promise to you that I'm going to get it back to you in a sufficient amount of time. I wrote everything down. Dar asked me to pick up her prescriptions at cars. I wrote it in my promise book. I wrote everything down because what happens, and this is not normal for you guys these days, but back in the day, I'd show 8, 10, 12 houses at a time. And I know this is weird for you guys. I'd actually put clients in my car and we would drive around to houses all day and show properties.
I think that's a more efficient way and a great way to build connection.
It is 100% the best way to build connection. Why? Because if it's a husband and wife, you hear them arguing about stuff. And then okay, yeah, I need to take that into consideration. But what I do, and it's kind of a trick in a trade, and this is, back then, we'd have 12 photos on a property. And one of my things was we pull into the driveway and you don't like it, let's turn around and just go. And that was one of them. The first property I showed you is your baseline of 5. Okay, regardless of how stunning or how crazy it is, it's a 5. And now we're going to grade everything above or beyond that because the ones below that you could throw away. And then I would tell them going into the house, oh my gosh, I want you guys to yell from the bedrooms that you like or don't like things so I could pick them up. And then I'd walk in, I'd turn off the keys, and I'd purposely walk first and turn on all the lights in the house. Why did I turn on all the lights in the house? Because I would look at the property and see all the things that I know they like or dislike about it. And when we walked through it together after I turned on the lights, I've never seen that house before in my life. But it's got an amazing backyard with a fence that goes all the way around for Snoopy, your dog, to be able to put, and when we get upstairs, I'd say, oh, by the way, look through this window here over there. You're going to see the fence in the backyard. They're going to love it. So they think I've mastered that house. And I haven't mastered that. But these are all tricks. It's a value proposition. They asked me, do you think that wall could be taken out? I'm not an inspector, no, but let's take a look at it. And I'd write it in my notebook and call the other agent, put the onus on them. Bless you. They love that house, but they want to know if the kitchen wall can be taken out. That promise book was my value proposition. And it worked well. But you have to have your own. If your value proposition is you're a stats person and you know every statistic, I don't care who you are, take that TMO. If Arian is buying a house in Wasilla for $395,000, and you take that TMO and you master everything from 350 to 400 or maybe even 450, how many sales, how long, days on market, blah, blah, blah. And then you pick out 10 or 12, or you look on MLS at every listing that's in that market, in that price range, so you know it. And then if you send them email drip listings of those listings, this is powerful, guys. Here, if Toby comes to me and says, I want to buy a house in Wasilla and I want to be out Connecticut Bay, blah, 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 by the Settlers Bay golf course, because I like to play golf. So I'm looking at that. I'm also CCing myself on that same one. Because the last thing I want to do, my integrity, my value proposition is I'm going to find that house before my client finds that house, which is really difficult to do in this day. Why? Because of the accession rule. So you just been approved by First Rate Financial, Michael, because he brought in the sandwiches today, for $600,000 in Settlers Bay. Okay. You, as of today, will become officially obsessed with finding a house in Settlers Bay for $600,000, give or take. You're looking at FSBOs, you're looking at MLS every day, you're looking at Zillow every day, you're driving around the subdivision, looking at houses that I hope that one comes up for sale, right? I'm your agent. How obsessed am I with you in finding that house? How often am I contacting you and finding that house? That email that goes out to you 9 o'clock every morning from MLS, do I get CC'd on that? Am I looking at those? Am I checking the hot sheets every day? That's a value proposition, guys. That's a value proposition. Are you actually working for them? It's embarrassing. And I know real estate's changed a lot with technology and stuff, but it's embarrassing if your client finds a house before you do. And don't forget, one-offs are miracle workers. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of homes on the buyer side, and the majority of homes I sell are one-off of exactly they need. A little bit outside the district, school district, one less bedroom, one more bedroom, one less bathroom, no fence, there's always something. Don't forget those two. Personal communication is key. What do we mean by personal communication? Not business. You're going to have a 50-50 gap here. They're going to want to relate to you as a person, not just a real estate professional. Now, everybody knows the DISC, correct? Everybody's familiar with the DISC?
Some might not be.
If
We
you're
haven't
not
gotten into it.
familiar with the DISC, please do a quick training on it or take the DISC assessment. D, and this is how I look, is driving dominant. I is intersocial, that you're either really social or you're not. S is how stable you like things. Either you're a risk taker or you're not a risk taker. And C is compliance oriented. So most people fall within those 4 categories, or 2 of those 4 categories. They may be high DI, they may be high SC. Typically, that's how it runs. Very often, very less common is a IS or an IC or a DC. Dar's a DC. Gary Keller's a DC. There's some people that are like that. I'm a DI. I'm a 99D. I'm a 99I. I have zero. I'm the hugest risk taker in the world. And Katie and Ariel and Stacy follow up with me just to clean up my desk. When I was an agent here, Katie would literally come and take everything off my desk on Fridays, put it in a box and put it in the storage room every Friday, put in the storage room, because I didn't know what to do with it. It's just one of those things. But when you're talking to clients, typically know that they're in one of those categories or a couple of those categories, and that's how you should talk to them. Personal communication is huge when it comes to that. So if you've got an engineer type, you can tell there's an engineer, their brain works like an engineer. They probably want to know all the statistics about the house. Okay, if you have a super high I, oh my God, look at that house. It's beautiful. And they're about curb appeal. They're about, all the stuff that makes them happy, their feelings and stuff, and you see this a lot. My wife makes me watch all these House Hunters International shows, and they always team these couples up, And one is always super concerned about the budget, and the other one's always super concerned about, I want to live in the house, it's beautiful, and they fight the whole 30 minutes of the show. So we see that your job is to mitigate this. Now, there's a gentleman on a show called Love It or List It about 6 or 8 years ago. It used to be David and Hillary. Now it's David and a new girl, but I coached with David about 4 or 5 sessions. Because he was getting really offended. It was a friend of mine that's a big coach back east. And he was getting really offended when the couples, I don't know if you've seen the show, but one couple wanted to stay in their neighborhood and keep their house. One of the either the husband or the wife, and the other one wanted to move. And David was the one that was trying to find the house then to move for, and Hillary was the one that was doing the remodeling. But the person that wanted to stay in the house hated everything about every house that they saw. And David would get offended. And it took me about 4-hour-long sessions to get him to use humor or just blow it off. And that's what he's done on it, because you never know who you're going to be in the house with. You never know what kind of attitude they've got. You never know what kind of preconceived, emotions that they're carrying with it. Sometimes you may use statistics, sometimes you're going to use both in the same house with 2 different people. But it's just making that connection that's huge. It really is. Lead follow-up communications, calls out, potential lead sources. Yeah. The statements or questions they're using in this, and I'm just going to do my personal thing. Why are you thinking about buying or selling? Tell me more. What does that do for you and your family? Okay, those are great questions. I think using the Ford principle, building a good relationship, and then digging into LP Mama. And it doesn't have to be LP Mama. It could be Mama LP. It could be Ma LP, Ma, whatever you want it to be. Ask those questions. Get really good at asking those questions, because you can build a relationship by looking at LP Mama and Ford and then showing them your value proposition and knowing the statistics from the TMO about the house. I don't care where you are at. Every week you get that TMO. I wouldn't laminate it or something, but put it on your desk, because if somebody calls, the second you start rattling that stuff off, I don't care if you're the super high I or not, you're making money that way.
You told them we're LP Mama.
Yeah, yeah. No, LP Mama. So it's a location, price, motivation, approval. Oh no, that's mortgage. Motivation, mortgage, appointment is the last one. And what's the agency? Yeah. Do you have an agent or not? So when you go for the location and price, that's easy. That's your lead in. So what area are you looking at in Wasilla? That's really money. If you don't mind me asking, what price range are you looking at? And then you can go right into mortgage. Have you talked to a lender yet? Oh, we're paying cash. Fantastic. Almost 50% of the deals I do in Fairbanks are cash. The other 50% are VA. So it's one or the other. And the motivation is the toughest one that you need to figure out is what they're motivated to do or say. So that's kind of the toughest one to figure out, is the motivation part of it. Because people they don't lie to you, they just fib to you, or they say we're not motivated. And this is the biggest thing about lead follow-up I'm going to tell you today. Second biggest thing. If a buyer says I'm thinking about moving up next summer, there's a good chance they're going to buy a house in 4 to 6 months. Okay, because they will always extend out further than what they say. And you say, great, I'll call you next March. And when you call them, found out that they're already here, the kids are in school, blah, blah, blah. I always tell my people, bump that up to a 4-month plan. If they say they're out a year, bump it to a 4-month conversion plan. Because they always do that. Listing seller people, they'll tell you right away, but buyers won't. So use your Ford principle and your LP Mama principles to build that relationship. So I have, and I'm gonna try to remember this. The 4 tenets of Walden Home Group in Fairbanks. Number 1, create raving fans. Okay. Number 2, convert the lead. Number 3, build the trust relationship. Number 4, and the priority on the 4 house is sell the damage. Okay. When you think about it that way, and when you look at all that, the whole big picture of your world, is create a raving fan. How do you create raving fans? It's the very first priority you have. Then, if you create a raving fan, converting the lead is easy. Then you build the trust relationship to make sure that lead comes back forever and ever and ever, no matter how many transactions. 4th priority is selling the house. That's our 4 tenets of how we work the Walden Home Group. So that's important. Any ahas? You guys on Zoom are pretty quiet. Any ahas?
Sorry. Yeah. So I found a lead this weekend, and they were talking about really looking for fall to winter. It's a good point to try to. Honestly, we need to start going now, because even if they end up finding the place, then we'll be closing by fall. So you actually kind of motivated me. I'm actually carrying my computer in right now to go ahead and start sending them buyers agreement.
Yeah, I would, because no matter where you're at, that the majority of the houses that are really appealing and buyable will come on May 1st through probably July 1st, maybe even July 15th if you're stretching it. So they're going to see a ton of houses because they're looking every day. They're going to see a ton of houses, and they'll probably fall in love with one. You want to be that agent that they're contacting. Because even in this market, if you go in full price good, you may be able to stretch out a closing. If you write a contract, say June 30th, you could stretch that closing maybe till September 1st, depending on your market, or September 15th. So today's the day. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And then the guy that or the buyer is looking for acreage where he can park, 5 trailers on. So it's probably better to get out there and look at it while it's dry too, and then we can go from there.
Amen. Yeah, amen. Yeah, so look at every piece of property out there. 5 trailers is at least an acre. Is it outside of any kind of zoning requirements? Is it, viable? Can you fence it? Is it all wooded? There's so many things that can make you the expert in that. Easily accessible. Is there a turnaround spot for it? There's all kinds of stuff that'll make you an expert in that specific element to make them rely on you. That's what you're looking for. Nice point, Brian. Nice point.
Let's say I had 3 buyers that were all like, oh, next summer, next winter is when I'm planning on buying something, whatever. And then this was like 2 months ago, or maybe like 3 weeks ago, give or take. I retexted all of them. It was like, hey, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And then all of them are moved up like this summer.
They do. I promise you they do, because you know this, and those of us that have been in the military know this. It's called getting short. So once you've made, I was stationed in Germany in Ramstein for 10 years. I got my assignment to Alaska, to Elmendorf. Elmendorf became the best place in the world to go to because I had an assignment there. But all of my focus, once I got my orders, was on Alaska. Well, the same thing happens with people moving. They decide, hey, I'm going to move, but they start thinking about it. They start making things happen. Then all of a sudden, when the energy gets there and the motivation's there, then things start happening. And you want to be that person right there where they say, oh, it's a year. It's probably going to be 3-4 months because their energy is directed towards it, and you need to capitalize on it. So I always tell my folks, plan on them moving them forward. We've seen it, and I can't tell you how many deals that we close because, I'm moving next summer to Alaska. It ends up, they're moving before the kids get into school.
Yeah, that's what his wife was gonna go to a tech school in Seward for a year, and then they were gonna buy up in like Anchorage or Wasilla,
Mhm.
and then ended up not going to that school, so now they're still in Anchorage, and I'm like, what do you do? And yeah, I've got a meeting with them Saturday.
Good. Congratulations. Yeah, that's fantastic news. Okay, post lead follow-up. Okay, and I think that's really important. And I don't know what this whole drum thing is about and stuff like that in 19.
We've covered it too.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to tell you about post lead follow-up is once you got the lead and you're following up, it's in your database, you're coming through. I'm going to trigger this a little bit more. We have all the connections. It's 36 to convert. We've talked about the 36 to convert. How do you keep a client after you close on them? So you've got them, it's recorded. What do you do after you record? 90% of the people will walk away and not talk to that client again for months or years or ever. What's the one thing or two things or three things you should focus on? I know, Sharon, you've got a program or plan for this. I've got one that I've mastered and it sucks, but it works. But you got to do something after recording to keep these people in your pipeline, because I'm telling you guys, you're brand new in the business. It's going to take you 18 months to 3 years to build a solid pipeline so where you don't have to do the lead generation stuff every day. So take this to the bank because it's money. That's a Nancy Pelosi reference. I'm sorry. But take this to the bank because it's going to make you money. Work your butts off for 18 months. Work them off. Lead generate every day, every flipping day you can. Be on the phones, be calling, be handling up business. Treat that business right. Don't forget the 36 touches to convert, to follow up with your leads, all that kind of stuff. Treat that business right. That pipeline will start going like this. And if you do this correctly at 3 years, guess what you don't have to do anymore? You don't have to do this all the time. Will you still do it occasionally? Yes, you'll still do it occasionally because you still have your 4 touches. But you don't have to do this for business every day.
It's kind of encouraging.
Well, it is. It is. People don't understand it.
It is.
Your first year in real estate's probably going to be okay. Why? Because your friends and your family are so excited for you to get in. They're going to wait and until you get your license. They're going to have you help them buy stuff, blah, blah, blah. Your sophomore year is going to be almost unbearable. Grin and bear it. Just do the activities. Do the activities that your team leader has you do, or whatever you're doing. Do those activities. Okay. Don't give up tomorrow's activities for today. What I mean by that is, and I say it this way, don't give up tomorrow's business for today's business. So if you have a recording or a home inspection or blah, 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 you block that time out to work on tomorrow's business. You can't forget that, but build that pipeline because you don't want to be doing this forever.
So how do you nurture those clients that have closed? I'm still learning that and I don't really know.
Okay, I do the money call. I hate to tell you this, it's called the money call. 3 or 4 days after they move in on the buyer side, I call them and say, hey, how's everything going with your move? I call it the money call. Why? Because it's going to cost me something. It's going to cost me time, effort. I'm going to pitch to you a home warranty so I have a good escape clause on my money call. Because a home warranty means, oh my God, your window's missing, or it's got a hole in it, or this leaks, or your furnace didn't turn on. Let's get a hold of the home warranty people and follow up that way. There's always something that after a client moves into a house that's not what they thought it was going to be. How well do you respond to that request and get it done means that call the next week or the next month is going to be easier and easier and easier because you stepped up to the plate right after recording. You didn't walk away, cash your commission check, and forget about everybody, because clients actually become your friends for the most part. There's some that they're not, but for the most part, clients become your friends during the buying process, even the selling process. They do become your friends. And then what's it feel like on the other side when you go to recording and never hear from them again or see them again. Don't be that person. Do the money call. You know, it's easy. Sharon closed on a house last week out in the valley. So Sharon, hey, following up, how's everything going with the house? Blah, blah, blah. The garage door opener doesn't work. Oh my God, here, let me get a hold of Ram overhead garage out there and get them out to take a look at it and see. Do you have to put the bill? Not always. Sometimes you may want to. So that's why I call it a money call, because sometimes if you miss something, you know, I've had this happen several times. They bought the house, there was 2 foot of snow in the backyard. They closed on the house, they went back out to the backyard and there's crap all over. Well, there's 2 hauling companies here in town, Stan's and Dan's. All one is Stan or Dan or got junk or, you know, whatever. Have them go out there, haul the shit away. If it costs you $400, it costs you $400. But the relationship you have with that client from solving that problem lasts for eternity. And if you don't call that, you record, you call back 6 months later, what is that conversation? If you haven't talked to them, they're your good friends. You record on the property, you get your commission check, and you don't call them for 6 months. What is that conversation going to sound like?
We had an XYZ issue, blah, blah, like,
Well, they're going to probably say, who the hell are you? Yeah. Why are you calling me now? You know, that kind of stuff, because you were pretty close friends going through the transaction and you forget about them. You can't forget that follow-up call, because if they're super happy, you get all that junk hauled out of their backyard and their niece and her husband's going to buy a house. Who they going to refer to them? Hey, call Ed. They fix everything, man. It's fantastic. Even if it wasn't, and tell me a real estate transaction that went perfectly. Very few, very, very few. I've only had one. Okay, Terry Smith lived in Kempton Hills. Dream house was at the end of the cul-de-sac. And he called me and said, hey, I just walked through an open house. I want to write an offer, $10,000 over. Can you have it to me in 30 minutes to the other agent? And this is the other agent. Wrote the offer, got it done. Didn't need a home inspection. I went in the house one time, $450,000 house. Didn't even show it. It was a buddy of mine. Bought it because he loved the house. That was the only transaction I've ever had that went that smooth. You know, back in the day, I closed the house in 9 days from the beginning to end, including a home inspection and an appraisal, because John was a relocation client that got a 1.5% interest rate if he could close it prior to June 30th. And he found the house on May 20 something, and we closed it in 9 days. But Irene Churchill was my Wells Fargo lender. That was when we could select an appraiser. I selected Stan. He was out there the next day. I had the home inspection. Mark Lewis out there, blah, blah, blah. There's very few, 99% of them have an issue. How well do you address that issue? And how well are you don't want to brag about it. You don't, but how humble are you in making sure they know that they're the priority in your world when it comes to real estate? Cool. I think that's it, isn't it?
Mhm.
Any ahas, guys? I know I kept you here for a while. That's a lot to go through. Lead follow-up is huge, but take your own personal characteristics to it and manage it yourself. You know, it's like, do the work. And I'm gonna tell you guys, build the pipeline, do all this kind of stuff. In February, we had the worst month I've had in years. We closed 8 deals. And we made $82,000 in commissions. This month we'll close 41 deals for $455,000 in GCI. This month. And why? Because January, February, and March really tied into my team about doing what we needed to do as far as making the calls and doing the business and the lead follow-up and making sure everybody knew. Because I sell 75% of my homes between May 1st and September 30th. It's Fairbanks. Too damn cold up there to be selling houses in the wintertime. You know, yeah. So when do people move? So we changed all of our marketing, our advertising. We run twice as many spots between January 1st and June 30th on the radio. I spend twice as much on Google. Why? Because that's when people are looking to buy or sell. From July 1st to December 31st, my advertising budget's 25%. Be smart about the money you spend, be smart about the activities. Biggest thing is don't give up tomorrow's business for today's. You gotta time block the time to do the lead follow-up because it's not gonna do it by itself, especially the calls. Cool. Any ahas, last minute ahas from you guys on Zoom?
Nothing here.
Anything from you guys? What do you guys think? Pretty simple. Cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you for all your insights and wisdom. I really appreciate it.
Spent a lot of time talking, but that's
No, but I think that's where the money is at.
2:01. Hey, not bad. I'm only 1 minute over.
Hey, great. I think, and I'll just say for myself at least, thank you very much, because I think that's where a lot of the insights come from. I think, from what I've heard from others, when we've had guest speakers, it's nice to hear like, what's your take? What are you doing? What's your flavor, your spin? And
So everybody
certainly is
does it
helpful.
differently. There's no right way.
Mhm.
So that's the key. What works for me in Fairbanks, but I did down here. I did 13 years working in business, me and Dar and Katie, and I built a team down here, but when you look at the number of houses we sold 10 to 12,000, I don't know exactly how many, homes. You learn some stuff along the way. And if we can kind of impart that stuff to you guys where it's real estate is a very simple process. It's not easy, but it's a very simple, but everything is front loaded. If you spend the first 18 months to 2 or 3 years building your business, then you never have to worry about it. Honestly, I mean, you look at you, 400 clients in your database, and you could build a really successful business off of it, just taking care of those 400 people. Or 500 people, that you don't need 40,000 people in database. I have to bust my ass now to try to eliminate half of those people, and deselect. So anyway, thank you guys.
For me, is like, I have real bad, like, out of sight, out of mind. I think that's like, especially like speaking in the military, like, if it's not right in front of me, it doesn't matter. And that's like, with the database thing, like, having all those tags and like reminders and tasks and stuff.
The most important tool that you guys will ever have is your calendar and how you work that calendar and how you time block the activities you have in order to get it done. Because family's important, time off is important, recreation's important. So you'll appreciate this. I had a 13-year senior master sergeant that became an officer, and he was a 30-year full bird colonel. And he said, Ed, and he says there was a captain that I was working with that didn't get promoted to air terminal operations position, and because he was a micromanager. And he said, Ed, because he worked 12, 14 hours a day, and this colonel Don Brewery comes in, he says, Ed, if you can't get this job done in 8 hours, you're not doing it right. And the same thing with real estate. It's not overpowering. We're on the phone a lot. We're on the phone all the time, but the calendar dictates what you do for the most part during the day. And there's always closings, there's always home inspections, there's always fierce conversations you have to have. Fierce conversations, not bad conversations, these are conversations you need to have. And you block those. I kiss the ugliest baby first thing every morning. I just do. I kiss the ugliest baby I can find first thing in the morning. And it could be, I hate making airline reservations and I fly every week. So I do that first thing in the morning. Or if I had a bad client, and I'm having a conversation with them first thing in the morning. Why? Yeah, I tell my team, you're going to see me smile more as the day goes on because I tackle the toughest stuff first. You know, so get in there and do that lead generation, get in there and do the follow-up, get in there and do that kind of stuff at noon, you can go. Because there's really nothing in real estate that's an emergency that can't be handled after 11 or 12 o'clock. And if there is, tackle it, get it back, reblock it. And the time blocking thing is so important. I've taught probably 24 classes on how to time block. And the time blocking thing is hugely important because if you don't use that tool, then busyness takes over your life. It's not business, busyness. And and don't wait. One of the things I didn't mention here, you don't have to have a perfect lead follow-up system for it to work. Okay, your newsletters may be ugly. Nobody cares. You know, your touches may not go out exactly on time, or they may not be. Nobody. So many people in this building and in KW have worked so long to make everything perfect before it's implemented and never gets implemented. Here's my thing. Dar and I, when we first met the KW, was 2007. We went to mega camp. There was 6,000 people there. And Cody Gibson and me and Dar and Matt walked in. Gary was in a conference room and he wanted to meet us because we did $56 million before, and everybody thought that was amazing. Well, it wasn't that amazing because we've done 280 million in sales before. But he walked in and he talked to me and Dar for a long time, and he said, Ed, your job is to make a mess. Dar, your job is to hire people to clean it up. But I had a really big predicament because I did 20 years in the military. And Dar followed me. We moved 12 times. Dar followed me all those times, taking whatever job she can get, you know, and she got a great job in international marketing, which she's amazing at. But I wanted this to be her 20 years. And I said, you get the next 20 years. So we made it to Ed Walden team. If you want to think about real estate, buy it from Dar. She was lead. But if you ever read this book called Rocket Fuel, you realize there's positions and personalities. You know, there's always a visionary, there's always an integrator, there's always somebody or an implementer, depending on how you want to phrase it, different personalities that fit. And Dar and I were just the opposite personalities in the same business. But I was here, Dar was here, and it's her team. But it doesn't mean you can't get crap done. Because we got a lot of crap done. Whatever obstacles you run into, just do it. And the market right now seems to be the toughest obstacle. So you got to fight the market. You guys are learning in absolutely the best time frame. There's 2008, 9, and 10, which was a great time frame. Now 22, 23, 24 is a great time frame to learn how to do business because you're going to learn how to do it the right way.
I like to think of it as putting on your blinders, focus on what you have to do, focus on what's right in front of you.
Yeah. And don't forget to do it every day. Yeah. That's cool. Thank you guys.
Thank you very
you,
much,
Ed.
Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dear. Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank you.